Welcome to my channel Echoes of Coin. The 1981 1-cent coin of the United States, part of the long-running Lincoln cent series, occupies an important transitional place in the history of American coinage. It was one of the final full production years in which the cent was made from the traditional bronze alloy of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, before the United States Mint shifted to a copper-plated zinc composition in the latter part of 1982. As such, 1981 cents carry the physical weight, metallic feel, and tonal quality of earlier issues, and they represent the culmination of more than a century of copper-dominated small-denomination coinage in America. The 1981 Lincoln cent continued a design tradition that began in 1909, when the coin was first issued to commemorate the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. On the obverse of the 1981 cent is the portrait of Abraham Lincoln, facing right, created by Lithuanian-born designer Victor David Brenner. This image, based on a plaque Brenner produced years earlier, has become one of the most enduring portraits in U.S. numismatics. Above Lincoln's head is the motto "In God We Trust," first placed on the cent in 1909. To the left of the portrait is the word liberty, and to the right is the date 1981, with a mint mark just below the date when applicable. The initials VDB are visible on the truncation of Lincoln's shoulder, a small but historically significant detail restored to the obverse in 1918 after having been removed from the reverse in the earliest months of the coin's release. The reverse of the 1981 cent features the Lincoln Memorial, designed by chief engraver Frank Gasparro and introduced in 1959 to replace the original wheat ear reverse. The memorial is rendered with remarkable detail for such a small coin, including the depiction of the seated statue of Lincoln visible between the central columns. Above the memorial is the inscription United States of America, and below is the denomination 1 cent. Between the memorial and the top inscription is the Latin motto E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one. The sharp architectural lines of the memorial design posed particular challenges in coin production, as even slight dye wear could soften the clarity of the columns and steps, leading to subtle differences in strike quality that collectors note when evaluating high-grade examples. In 1981, the Lincoln cent was produced at 3 U.S. Mint facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia Mint struck circulation coins without a mint mark, as was customary at the time. The Denver Mint, using the D mint mark, produced coins for everyday use, and the San Francisco Mint focused primarily on proof coinage for collectors, identified by the S mint mark. Mintage figures for the year were extraordinarily high, reflecting the continued heavy demand for cents in commerce. Philadelphia struck over 7 billion cents, Denver over 5 billion, and San Francisco produced millions of proof cents, both standard and a smaller number of special varieties. The year 1981 also stands out because it was the final year in which the U.S. Mint used the older Type 1 proof reverse on Lincoln Memorial cents. The Type 1 reverse featured a shallow, less defined S mint mark on proof coins, which was hand-punched into the die and often exhibited softer edges. Late in 1981, the Mint introduced the Type 2 proof reverse with a sharper, clearer S mint mark created through a different hubbing process. As a result, proof cents from 1981 exist in two distinct varieties, Type 1 and Type 2, with the Type 2 being scarcer and more sought after by collectors. This variety distinction is one of the most important numismatic aspects of the 1981 cent. In terms of composition, the 1981 cent retained the bronze alloy that had been in place since 1962, 95% copper, with the remainder a combination of tin and zinc. The high copper content gave the coin a weight of 3.11 grams and a distinctive reddish-brown appearance. Over time, copper reacts with the environment, leading to a range of toning colors from bright red to deep brown, depending on storage conditions. Collectors classify the color of bronze cents into 3 broad categories: red, RD, red-brown, RB, and brown, BN. Red coins retain at least 95% of their original mint red color and are the most desirable in the marketplace, especially in high grades. While the majority of 1981 cents are common in circulated condition, high-grade mint state examples, especially those grading MS67 RD or higher, can command significant premiums due to their rarity in pristine condition. The copper surface is particularly susceptible to spotting, nicks, and contact marks from other coins, so finding an example that has survived decades without blemishes is challenging. Proof coins from San Francisco, with their mirror-like fields and frosted devices, also hold collector value, particularly the scarcer Type 2 variety in top grades. The production process for the 1981 cent was largely automated, with planchets punched from rolled sheets of bronze, cleaned, and then fed into coining presses. Each press used a pair of dies, obverse and reverse, to strike the design into the metal under high pressure. Quality control was an ongoing process, but with billions of coins produced, minor anomalies inevitably occurred. This has resulted in a variety of mint errors and die varieties that collectors seek out today. Off-center strikes, broad strikes, die cracks, and die chips are among the more common errors. Occasionally, cents were struck on incorrect planchets, such as copper-nickel planchets intended for 5-cent coins or the smaller planchets of foreign coins, creating dramatic and highly collectible minting mistakes. Economically, the year 1981 was marked by high inflation and rising commodity prices, including copper. The intrinsic metal value of the cent began to approach its face value, prompting renewed discussions within the Mint and Treasury Department about changing the coin's composition. This conversation would lead directly to the major change in 1982, when the Mint transitioned to copper-plated zinc cents weighing 2.5 grams. As such, the 1981 cent can be viewed as the last full-year issue before this significant alteration in U.S. small-denomination coinage. Historically, the Lincoln cent has held a unique position as the longest-running design in U.S. coinage, and the 1981 issue continued that legacy. Its widespread circulation ensured that virtually every American handled it, making it both a common object and a tiny piece of the nation's history. For younger Americans of the time, the cent was still a coin with tangible purchasing power, able to buy small candies or contribute meaningfully toward low-cost purchases. Over time, inflation eroded that power, but the sentimental and symbolic value of the cent persisted. Collectors approaching the 1981 cent from a numismatic perspective often assemble it as part of a larger Lincoln Memorial cent collection, covering the years 1959 through 2008. Within that range, 1981 is notable for its sheer mintage numbers, its role as the penultimate year of bronze composition, and its proof variety distinction. Searching for high-grade examples from each mint, Philadelphia, Denver, and both San Francisco proof types, can be a rewarding challenge. Preserving 1981 cents in top condition requires careful handling, as copper is highly reactive. Collectors avoid cleaning coins, as this can irreversibly damage the surfaces and reduce value. Instead, coins are stored in inert holders such as 2x2 cardboard flips with mylar windows, hard plastic capsules, or archival quality albums. For proof coins, original government packaging can provide adequate protection, though long-term storage may require more stable, airtight solutions to prevent toning and spotting. The 1981 1-cent coin thus stands as a snapshot of American coinage at a point of both continuity and change. It is common enough that almost anyone can find an example, yet it has features and varieties that offer depth for the dedicated collector. From the artistry of Brenner's portrait to the subtle mintmark variations on proofs, from the metallic heft of its bronze composition to the context of its production in a time of economic challenge, the 1981 cent is both a workhorse of commerce and a subject of study in numismatics. The 1996 1-cent coin of the United States is a modern issue within the long-running Lincoln cent series, a series that began in 1909 to honor the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. By 1996, the Lincoln cent had already been in continuous production for 87 years, making it the longest-running design in U.S. coinage history. While the 1996 cent may appear ordinary to the casual observer, it reflects important characteristics of late 20th century American coinage, including changes in composition, mass production techniques, the persistence of a traditional design, and the role of the 1-cent denomination in everyday commerce despite its diminishing purchasing power. The obverse of the 1996 cent features the familiar right-facing portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner. This design, adapted from a plaque Brenner had created earlier in his career, is notable for its realism and dignity. Above Lincoln's head is the national motto "In God We Trust," to the left is the word liberty, and to the right is the date 1996. Below the date is a small mint mark, identifying the mint facility where the coin was struck. Philadelphia coins have no mint mark, Denver coins carry a D, and San Francisco proof coins bear an S. The designer's initials VDB are located on the truncation of Lincoln's shoulder, a subtle acknowledgement of Brenner's work. The reverse depicts the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., designed by Frank Gasparro and introduced on the cent in 1959. The memorial is shown from a frontal perspective, its classical columns rendered in miniature detail. In the center of the memorial's interior, the seated statue of Lincoln is faintly visible, an impressive feat of engraving for such a small canvas. The inscriptions United States of America and 1 cent appear above and below the memorial respectively, with the motto E pluribus unum positioned between the memorial and the top inscription. This design would remain in use until 2008, after which it was replaced by the shield reverse in 2010 following a year of bicentennial commemorative reverses in 2009. By 1996, the composition of the Lincoln cent was no longer the traditional bronze alloy used from 1909 to 1982. Rising copper prices in the early 1980s had prompted the United States Mint to adopt a copper-plated zinc planchet beginning in the latter part of 1982. The modern cent consists of a core of 99.2% zinc and 0.8% copper, with a plating of pure copper that gives the coin its characteristic reddish color. The overall composition is 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper by weight. The coin weighs 2.5 grams, in contrast to the earlier bronze cents which weighed 3.11 grams. This change reduced production costs but introduced new challenges for durability, as zinc cores are more prone to corrosion if the copper plating is damaged. The 1996 cent was struck in massive numbers at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints to meet the continuing demand for cents in circulation. Combined mintage figures reached into the billions, a testament to the sheer scale of modern coin production. Philadelphia struck over 6 billion cents without mint marks, while Denver produced a similar number with the D mint mark. The San Francisco Mint produced proof coins for collector sets, with mintages in the millions rather than billions, ensuring higher quality and sharper detail through special preparation of dies and planchets. While most 1996 cents are common and worth only their face value in circulated condition, certain varieties and errors attract collector interest. One notable example is the 1996 wide AM variety on proof coins, in which the spacing between the A and M in America on the reverse is wider than normal. This variety results from the use of a reverse die intended for proof coinage on some circulation strikes, creating a distinct design difference. The standard reverse for circulation coins from 1993 onward has the A and M nearly touching, while the wide AM spacing is associated with earlier proof dies. Finding a 1996 wide AM circulation strike is rare and can command significant premiums. Mint errors on 1996 cents also appeal to specialists. Off-center strikes, double strikes, clipped planchets, and broad strikes are among the more dramatic errors. In some cases, coins have been discovered struck on foreign planchets, a rare but intriguing minting mishap that occurs when leftover planchets for foreign contracts are accidentally fed into presses for U.S. coins. Minor die cracks, cuds, and die chips are relatively common and can be collected as part of a die state study. These errors and varieties provide opportunities for collectors to search rolls of cents from banks in hopes of finding an unusual specimen. The economic context of 1996 also plays a role in understanding this coin. By the mid-1990s, inflation had eroded the buying power of the cent to the point where it could no longer purchase even the smallest items individually. Nevertheless, the denomination persisted, partly due to tradition and partly because of its role in maintaining exact pricing in cash transactions. There was ongoing debate about whether to eliminate the cent, but such discussions rarely gained enough political momentum to prompt action. The Lincoln cent thus remained a fixture of everyday commerce, even as its utility diminished. The mass production of billions of 1996 cents relied on advanced minting technology. High-speed presses struck coins at rates far beyond what earlier generations could achieve, with automated feeding, striking, and quality control systems ensuring efficiency. Despite these advancements, the human element remained important in designing dies, inspecting coins, and managing the overall production process. The sheer volume of output meant that even with rigorous quality control, minor imperfections and anomalies would inevitably occur, creating the varieties and errors that collectors treasure. From a numismatic perspective, collecting 1996 cents offers both simplicity and challenge. Common examples in circulated grades are easy to obtain, making them accessible for beginners. High-grade uncirculated coins, however, require more effort to locate, especially in the MS 67RD and above range, where pristine copper surfaces without spots or abrasions are rare. Proof coins in top grades with deep cameo contrast between frosted devices and mirrored fields are also sought after by specialists in modern proof coinage. The 1996 cent also highlights the issue of long-term preservation of copper-plated zinc coins. While bronze cents could withstand decades of circulation with minimal structural damage, copper-plated zinc coins are vulnerable to corrosion once the plating is breached. Exposure to moisture or acidic environments can lead to zinc rot, in which the core deteriorates, causing bubbling and eventual disintegration of the coin. Collectors storing 1996 cents for the long term must ensure they are kept in a dry, stable environment with minimal handling to avoid damage to the plating. In the broader scope of U.S. coinage history, the 1996 cent represents the mature phase of the Lincoln Memorial reverse era. It embodies the combination of traditional design and modern materials, bridging the gap between the classic bronze cents of the 20th century and the mass-produced, lower-cost coinage of the late 20th and early 21st centuries. While it may not be rare, its story is intertwined with the evolution of U.S. currency, advances in minting technology, and the enduring image of Abraham Lincoln as a symbol of American ideals. The 1996 1-cent coin of the United States, commonly known as the Lincoln cent, is a small copper-plated coin that represents both tradition and transition in American numismatics. Though often overlooked in daily commerce as an ordinary penny, it embodies nearly a century of design continuity, technological progress in coinage production, and ongoing debate about the role of the lowest denomination in a modern economy. By 1996, the Lincoln cent had already been circulating for 87 years, making it the longest-running design in the nation's coinage history. The 1996 issue continues the use of Victor David Brenner's portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and Frank Gasparro's rendering of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Yet beneath that familiar appearance are layers of historical, metallurgical, and cultural significance that make the coin a fascinating subject of study. The obverse design of the 1996 cent retains Brenner's celebrated bust of Lincoln. When first introduced in 1909 to honor the centennial of Lincoln's birth, the design marked a dramatic break from earlier U.S. coins that featured allegorical figures such as liberty rather than actual historical persons. By the time of the 1996 issue, Brenner's portrait had become one of the most recognizable images in American coinage, embodying both the dignity of the 16th president and the democratic tradition of placing a real leader's likeness on circulating currency. On the 1996 coin, Lincoln faces right, his hair and beard carefully rendered even within the limitations of a small copper-plated surface. Above his head is the inscription "In God We Trust," to the left is the word liberty, and to the right is the date 1996. Just below the date appears the mint mark, D for Denver, S for San Francisco proofs, or no mark for Philadelphia. The initials VDB, honoring Brenner, can be seen discreetly at the base of the portrait's shoulder. The reverse of the coin continues Frank Gasparro's Lincoln Memorial design, which had been in use since 1959. Gasparro's intention was to present an architectural symbol of Lincoln's legacy, rather than the agricultural motif of the wheat ears that had graced the cent from 1909 through 1958. On the 1996 reverse, the memorial stands in neoclassical symmetry, with its columns, steps, and pediment carefully engraved. At the center, barely visible without magnification, is the tiny seated statue of Lincoln as it appears inside the actual monument in Washington, D.C. Above the memorial is the legend United States of America. Below is the denomination 1 cent. And between them is the motto E pluribus unum, signifying unity from diversity. This reverse remained in use until 2008, when it was replaced as part of a redesign program for the bicentennial of Lincoln's birth and the centennial of the cent itself. By 1996, the cent's metallic composition was no longer the bronze alloy that had characterized the series for most of the 20th century. In 1982, the United States Mint transitioned from the traditional 95% copper, 5% tin and zinc alloy to a copper-plated zinc planchet. The new composition consists of a nearly pure zinc core, 99.2% zinc and 0.8% copper, covered with a thin layer of pure copper. This change reduced the weight of the coin from 3.11 grams to 2.5 grams and significantly lowered production costs. Since the intrinsic value of copper in the old bronze cents had been approaching the coin's face value, the 1996 cent is therefore primarily a zinc coin with a copper surface, giving it the familiar reddish appearance while relying on a cheaper base metal underneath. This metallurgical reality influences how the coin ages. If the copper plating is damaged, the zinc core is vulnerable to corrosion, often producing unsightly bubbles, streaks, or zinc rot. Production of the 1996 cent occurred at 3 facilities. The Philadelphia Mint struck billions of coins without a mint mark. The Denver Mint produced billions more with a D mint mark, and the San Francisco Mint issued proof coins with an S mint mark. Combined mintage exceeded 13 billion pieces, reflecting the extraordinary demand for cents in circulation even at a time when their purchasing power had become quite limited. The Philadelphia Mint alone struck over 6 billion coins, while Denver's output was similarly massive. Proof coins from San Francisco were produced in far smaller numbers, millions rather than billions, but with specialized techniques such as polished dies and specially prepared planchets, resulting in sharp details and mirror-like fields that distinguish them from circulation strikes. Despite the immense quantity produced, the 1996 cent is not without areas of numismatic interest. Proof coins from San Francisco are collected both as part of annual proof sets and individually, with deep cameo examples, showing strong contrast between frosted devices and reflective fields, commanding premiums in the marketplace. Circulation strikes are abundant in lower grades but can be challenging to find in the highest mint state conditions, particularly with full red luster and without spots or marks. Because copper surfaces are sensitive to handling and environmental factors, coins that have survived since 1996 in pristine red condition are scarce relative to the billions that were struck. One of the most intriguing aspects of the 1996 cent is the existence of design varieties related to the spacing of the letters in America on the reverse. Beginning in 1993, the Mint adopted a new reverse hub that brought the letters A and M in America closer together, with their bases nearly touching. This became the standard circulation reverse. However, a limited number of 1996 cents were struck with the earlier reverse design, known as the wide AM, in which the letters A and M are clearly separated. This variety arose from the accidental use of a proof reverse die on circulation strikes. The 1996 wide AM is a rare and valuable variety, eagerly sought by collectors who search through rolls of 1996 cents in hopes of finding one. Its discovery adds an element of excitement to what otherwise might seem like an ordinary modern issue. Mint errors on 1996 cents also attract specialized attention. As with any large-scale coinage program, occasional mistakes occur in the production process, and given the billions of pieces struck in 1996, a range of errors exist. Off-center strikes, where the design is misaligned relative to the coin's planchet, can be dramatic when a significant portion of the design is missing. Double strikes, in which the coin is struck more than once in different orientations, create striking visual effects. Planchet errors such as clips, laminations, or the use of wrong planchets occasionally appear. While most errors are rare relative to the enormous mintage, they add diversity and collectability to the 1996 cent population. Economically, the 1-cent coin in 1996 had become increasingly marginal in terms of purchasing power. Inflation over the decades had eroded the value of the denomination, and by the mid-1990s there were few if any goods available for a cent alone. Nevertheless, the coin persisted in circulation, partly out of tradition and partly because of its role in retail pricing and accounting. Businesses often priced items in amounts ending in .99, making the cent necessary for exact cash transactions. Public sentiment about eliminating the cent was divided. Some viewed it as obsolete and costly, while others regarded it as a symbol of national history that should be preserved. The production of over 13 billion 1996 cents illustrates that demand, whether genuine or manufactured by pricing practices, remained strong. The coinage technology of the 1990s ensured high-speed, consistent production. The mints presses were capable of striking hundreds of coins per minute, with automated feeding systems and computerized quality controls. Dies were produced with greater precision than in earlier decades, and the use of computer-assisted design and hubbing improved the consistency of details. Yet even with these advancements, the challenge of maintaining the copper plating over a zinc core meant that quality issues such as weak strikes, plating flaws, and surface imperfections remained common. Collectors evaluating 1996 cents must therefore pay close attention to the quality of the strike, the integrity of the plating, and the preservation of original red color. For those assembling a complete set of Lincoln Memorial cents, the 1996 issues are essential components. Collectors typically seek examples from both Philadelphia and Denver in mint state red condition, along with proof coins from San Francisco. Advanced specialists pursue the wide AM variety and error coins to enhance their sets. Grading services such as PCGS and NGC have certified many high-grade examples, and populations at the top end MS68RD and above remain limited, contributing to market value. Proof coins graded PR70 Deep Cameo are similarly scarce and command strong demand among registry set collectors who compete for the finest known examples. Preservation of copper-plated zinc cents like the 1996 issue requires particular care. Because the thin copper layer can be damaged by handling or exposure to environmental contaminants, collectors use inert holders made of mylar, polyethylene, or acrylic to house their coins. Humidity and acidic materials must be avoided, as they can trigger corrosion of the zinc core if the plating is breached. Unlike older bronze cents, which can tone attractively over time, zinc-based cents rarely develop desirable patinas, and collectors generally prefer them to retain their original red appearance. Proper storage is thus essential to maintaining both aesthetic appeal and market value. The cultural resonance of the Lincoln cent also persisted in 1996. As the only U.S. coin still denominated in cents rather than nickels, dimes, or quarters, it held a symbolic place in the nation's monetary system. Its small size and low value made it a coin often associated with children's first experiences in handling money, saving in piggy banks, or collecting from pocket change. The image of Lincoln, one of the most revered presidents, lent the coin an aura of historical dignity, even as its economic role diminished. For many Americans, the cent served as a reminder of continuity, linking generations through a common object of daily life.